Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lindsay, and today I'm going to talk about 3 ways that Britney Spears is going to change how we view mental illness forever. So, I have been following the Britney Spears saga very closely this year, and one reason is that I grew up with her. I was in high school when she came out, and I bought her album. It was like semi-ironic that I bought it, but I did really like it. I played it a lot. I enjoyed singing to it. I loved it. But another reason that I've been following this story so closely recently is that it really brings up some relevant questions and conversations about how we view mental illness, how we treat people with mental illness. So I wanted to talk about 3 different topics of discussion that are related to Britney Spears and why I think that her issue, what she's going through with the conservatorship, is going to bring about some major cultural shifts in how we as a society think about mental health. In the same way that Britney Spears also provoked these questions that shifted our cultural narrative regarding how we treat women in the media last year, with Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and Janet Jackson and all of those things. We were kind of going back to the 2000s and seeing how we used to treat women in the media like that, who were going through a hard time, or it was easy to put the blame on the woman in the case of Janet Jackson. But because of these discussions, we've been able to become a little bit more empathetic towards these celebrities in the media, especially women. So I think the same thing is going to happen regarding just mental health in general and people with mental illness issues similar to Britney's. Okay, so let's get into it. Number 1, the importance of being your own advocate in your personal wellness journey. So, oh my God, this is such a big issue because our medical system is just not designed to make people healthy. It really isn't. It's designed to help people cope with sickness. And it's unfortunate, but it's an insurance issue, it's an education issue, and not enough people understand what it takes to really heal from diseases. And this is medical diseases, this is mental health diseases, any kind of wellness issue. If you have a long-standing medical issue that is not a quick fix like a broken bone or something, our medical system may not be the best, and there are many other alternatives, but it's not covered by insurance and it's not very mainstream yet. And the unfortunate part is that your doctor is not really required and sometimes not allowed to talk about it, to tell you about it. There are doctors out there in the mainstream system who know how to help patients heal and recover, make, total comebacks, but it doesn't seem like Britney was exposed to any of them. She doesn't have them on her team. And they all seem to be very satisfied with the status quo. Things are great, right? In their eyes, they're getting paid. She's surviving. And unfortunately, everybody's making money off of this, semi-functional woman who is fully capable, I believe, of making like complete comeback, thriving, doing great. I think we're going to see in the next few years her completely take off. But right now, they're keeping her sick, and our system encourages that and calls it normal. But I think we should be normalizing full recoveries because it is possible. But it is only possible if you are your own advocate. And fortunately, in this case, Britney Spears has an entire huge fan base who has been her advocate for her. And this has helped her immensely. It's empowered her, it's woken her up, it has, brought her out of denial, but most people do not have that. So we all have to recognize that we have to be our own advocates and get ourselves out of these holes that we seem to be trapped in by the medical system or the mental health system, anything similar to that. We have to be our own advocates. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to do our own research, and we have to know that it's possible and that there are solutions out there. No one else is incentivized to wake you up from this sickness prison. So you got to do your own research. You've got to really believe that there's more out there for you, and then you've got to fight your way out. Topic number 2. How much should we be medicating people with mental illness, and should we force it on them? Britney was talking about being put on lithium, which is a very old drug that has a lot of side effects. There are many other alternatives, and she didn't want to be on it. It caused these side effects that I remember some of the other judges on The Voice, when she was on that show, said that she had a hard time finishing the shoots. She would look like she was drunk or falling asleep because she was overly medicated. And then there was a story a few days ago that came out about one of Britney's ex-bodyguards who said that when the medications came in every week, she would go from like sane to talking about parallel universes, and he just kind of implied that the medication that she was taking was making her go crazy. And here's the thing, I'm taking that with a grain of salt because this is also the same guy who sued her for sexual harassment for $10 million, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that. But all of these weird medications that, she doesn't want to be on, maybe she knows that they're too much for her, but other people are forcing her to take it. All of this could be explaining some of the weird, bizarre behavior too on social media. I mean, she seems like a little off in some of the older social media posts. You could tell there was something a little weird, but that could definitely be explained by being overly medicated. And the big question is, why do we have all of these homeless people on the streets? They're allowed to go to your front door and poop on your doorstep and do whatever they want. They can steal. I mean, at least here in California they can, and not go to jail. Nothing happens to them, and nobody can force them. I mean, they're obviously psychotic, many of them. And if you have visited here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've seen some of these people in your communities too, but they're not forced to take medication. So why is Britney Spears? I think to me, I don't know, I'm no doctor, but she does not seem like somebody who would get to that point if she was off her medication. A lot of these drugs for bipolar disorder, which is what I guess they say that Britney Spears has, can be really heavy and have a lot of side effects. Please watch this documentary called Medicating Normal. I think they described it as the untold story of what happens when profit-driven medicine meets human beings in distress. The documentary follows these people who have something wrong with them, and maybe they go to the doctor for some psychiatric medication. Maybe they have depression or PTSD or something like that, and then they don't get better with the initial medication, so the doctors put more medication, give them more types of medication on top of it, and then they just get into this cycle of indefinite medications and they can't get off of it. And it's a really sad story, but it's something that everybody should be aware of because this is very, very common. And I would not be surprised if this is exactly the situation that's happening with Britney Spears. And the third topic of discussion that I think Britney Spears is bringing about is what exactly constitutes mental illness, and should it be less stigmatized? I have a feeling, just based on all of the news reports that I've seen and the people that I've talked to about this, that don't necessarily know Britney Spears, but they've heard about it on the news and, they've gotten up to speed. And the narrative that's happening right now is, oh wow, we can look back in 2000 and kind of empathize with her a little bit more than we were able to when she was going through all of that, her kids taken away, and then she shaved her head, and then the paparazzi were hounding her, so she, took the umbrella and beat the car. I mean, I think most people, if they were going through that much crazy stress and then the paparazzi and all the spotlight is on them, like beating somebody's car with an umbrella is probably like not that bad. I know for sure that I would probably react in the same way. I know that there are a lot of people who feel that they probably would too. So I think we're rethinking, is that really severely mentally ill, or is that just somebody who's extremely stressed out? Also, with that story with that ex bodyguard who said that she would go from like sane to talking about parallel universes, in this day and age, I think we're like having like some shifts over like what is the difference between like psychotic thinking and just unconventional thinking, you know? Like I feel like with everybody talking about like UFOs and, you know, on CNN and like it's so common, the idea of something like parallel universes is not that bizarre. So behaviors and things that people talk about that might be seeming crazy to some other person might be totally normal to another person. And I think we're kind of opening to that idea and accepting it more. But definitely, I think we're having more empathy for people with mental illness. I think that that will continue to increase as we go on. I think that Britney's case is like calling attention to this, and we're going to start having some discussions, and the cultural narrative is going to begin to shift. Also, I have to say, there are a few celebrities that I can think of right now that are way more crazy, or appear to be way more crazy than Britney Spears ever was. So why Britney? So that's just something to think about too. If you have a theory, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I think that this whole Britney Spears thing is bringing these amazing conversations to the mainstream. I can finally talk to my mom about these issues with Britney Spears. She knows what's going on because she's seeing it on Good Morning America, you know? So I think it's a very interesting time, and I'm very hopeful that things are going to be changing in the near future for the better. And if you agree with me, let me know. But that's all for now, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.